Whenever we talk about AI, it feels like we're always focused on the two extremes, right? You've got these massive, all-powerful giants living in the cloud, and then you have these tiny, super specialized sparks running on our devices. But what if the real revolution, the practical one, is actually happening somewhere else, somewhere in the middle? Well, today, we're going to dive into exactly that, the unsung hero of the AI world, the small language model.
And to really get our heads around this, I love this metaphor from the source material. It says at one end, you've got AI fireflies running on milliwatts, and at the other, you have giants towering in the cloud. I mean, that just perfectly captures the AI spectrum as we know it, doesn't it? It's a world of extremes.
So let's break that down. On one side, you've got the whispers. That's TinyML, right? It's doing all this quiet, super efficient work on little sensors and microcontrollers. And then way over on the other side, you've got the thunder, the big, large language models. Their incredible power just echoes out from these huge data centers. And as you can see, there's this massive gap right in between.
So that leads to the big question, the one we're tackling today. With everyone so focused on the whispers and the thunder, are we totally missing where the really important work is happening? For actual businesses, for enterprises? Where's the real action?
And that question brings us right to our first section, AI's missing middle. Because it's right there, in that overlooked gap between the whispers and the thunder, that something new and incredibly practical is starting to grow.
So what's filling that gap? Well, this is where we meet the hero of our story, the small language model, or SLM for short. And I think the source material puts it perfectly. It calls this the Goldilocks zone of enterprise AI. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right.
Okay, but what exactly is a small language model? Well, think of them as AI models that sit in a really specific size range. We're talking about 1 to 20 billion parameters. And a parameter, just so we're on the same page, is kind of like a dial the AI can turn to learn from data. But the key thing here, the magic, is that SLMs are built to find that perfect sweet spot, balancing the raw horsepower of a huge LLM with the nimble efficiency of TinyML. And that makes them perfect for actually being used in the real world.
All right, let's actually visualize that spectrum we've been talking about. Over here on the far left, you've got TinyML. Remember, these are the whispers, the AI fireflies. They're running right on your device, at the very edge, right where the data is first sensed. And then, way over on the other side, on the far right, you've got the LLMs. These are our thunderous giants, living far off in the cloud, needing just enormous amounts of infrastructure to do their thing.
And boom, this is exactly where the SLM comes in. It fills that crucial middle ground, bringing some serious intelligence way closer to your data. We're talking on-premise, on a company server, or right at the network edge. It's powerful AI right where you actually need it. Okay, so they're in the middle. So what? Why does that even matter? Well, that's what we're going to dig into next, the middle ground advantage. You're about to see why being just right isn't some kind of compromise. It's a flat-out superpower.
So this just right approach gives SLMs 4 huge advantages. First up, on-prem intelligence. This is massive. It means your most sensitive data never, ever has to leave your firewall. And that, of course, is absolutely critical for privacy and data sovereignty, especially if you're in, say, healthcare or finance. Second, they're way more cost-effective. You're not constantly paying for API calls to some giant cloud model. And finally, and this one is my favorite, domain specialization. This is the secret sauce. You can train a smaller, focused SLM to be so good at one thing that it can actually outperform a giant generalist LLM on that specific task. How cool is that?
Here's another really powerful way to think about it. If LLMs are the big brains in the cloud, and TinyML are the tiny sensory nerves on your devices, then SLMs are the AI spine. They're like the central nervous system connecting everything, processing information super fast and reacting. They're responsive in there right there, close to the action.
Okay, let's put some numbers to this. Take a look at this side-by-side comparison. Just look at the parameters. You go from thousands in TinyML to hundreds of billions in LLMs, and SLMs, they're sitting right in that sweet spot in the middle. Now look at deployment. You go from on-device to on-premise to cloud, and you can see how all of this directly impacts the cost and what they're best used for. This chart just lays it out perfectly. It shows exactly how SLMs carve out their own essential niche for businesses. But look, this isn't just theory or some far-off future stuff. This is happening right now. So let's go see where these models are already making a huge impact.
It's time to check out SLMs in the wild and see them go from theory to real-world transformation.
Here's a fantastic example from healthcare. Picture this. A hospital runs a model like Microsoft's Phi 3 on its own internal servers. It can scan through thousands of patient notes, instantly flagging potential drug interactions. And because it's all happening on-premise, none of that incredibly sensitive patient data ever leaves the building. It stays totally secure and HIPAA compliant. That's a game changer.
Or how about finance? An investment firm could use a fine-tuned SLM to automatically scan for non-compliant trades, catching them before they happen. And again, because it's all running in-house, their super secret proprietary trading strategies stay, well, proprietary, completely confidential.
And check out this one from manufacturing, which really shows the power of SLMs at the edge. A factory can use a model like Google's Gemma to take these endless, confusing streams of sensor data and translate them into plain English. So instead of getting a screen full of cryptic numbers, an operator gets a simple, real-time alert that says, Conveyor Belt 3 showing vibration anomaly. Now that is actionable intelligence, right there on the factory floor.
So, where is all this headed? What's the big picture? Well, it's really important to get this. It's not about SLMs replacing LLMs or TinyML. Not at all. We are heading for a hybrid future. The winning strategy isn't going to be about picking just one. It's about orchestrating all three so they work together seamlessly, like a symphony.
And you know what? This future is a lot closer than you might think. Just look at this timeline. Right now, through 2026, we're seeing adoption just take off, especially in those regulated industries. By 2027 or 2028, this idea of hybrid AI orchestration is probably going to be the standard. And by the end of the decade, it's very possible that SLMs will become the default go-to choice for most enterprise AI jobs.
So what does all this mean for, our jobs, for our careers? Well, it's creating entirely new roles that are in huge demand. Just look at these job titles. SLM engineer, edge AI architect, hybrid AI platform lead. Seriously, these positions barely even existed a couple of years ago. And today, they represent some of the most valuable, sought-after skills in the entire tech industry.
So, let's bring it all home. Back to that first metaphor. It's not just about whispers and thunder anymore, is it? We've found the missing piece. The SLM is the heartbeat. It's steady, it's essential, and it's quietly powering the entire system. This is what's making that next wave of truly practical AI a reality.
So there you have it. The revolution isn't coming down from the highest clouds or sparking up from the tiniest devices. It's swelling up right from the middle ground. And the real question now, the one we want to leave you with is, what's your take? How do you think this AI heartbeat is going to change the way you work and maybe even the way you live?